What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the June 17th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Rasslin on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and especially YouTube. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Tonight's Smackdown, well, had some very interesting vibes to it. Of course, with the news that Vince McMahon is stepping aside because of the investigation from the board of the hush money he paid for an affair, and Stephanie McMahon being the interim chairwoman and CEO. It was announced that Vince McMahon was going to be on SmackDown, and he started off the show, comes out, the crowd is cheering him. He says practically all he said was, then, now, forever, we're here together, welcome to SmackDown, and left. That was it. That was all that he said. Just very weird. This whole episode, I have to admit, it started off weird, and as the show progressed, it was just really very imbalanced. And by imbalanced, I mean, like, maybe it's because of the magnitude of what's happened in the WWE in the past 48 hours. But I had no problem getting into the matches. It was just the way everything flowed is just, you could tell there was just, I don't want to say a preoccupation of, the stuff that's happening outside of the ring and, the news stories, but it was just something was just not just, how do I put it? Going through a template. There you go. It was announced that the original script for SmackDown was pretty much torn up the night before, so it was a new show and everything. Maybe that was an issue, but yeah, this episode, the way it started was weird, and then the way it ended, oh my god, so many people, and I include myself in this, are just like, again. Of course, this was in Minnesota. I should have expected this, but it was one of those things at the end where it was like you were shocked, but then after a while, you're just like, okay, I'm not shocked why this happened. So, I mean, this event started, SmackDown started with Riddle. Basically, the whole promo, he was like talking about Randy Orton more than his title shot against Roman later in the night, which I thought was really weird. That it was like, hey, you're fighting Roman for the title, and Roman hasn't been there since, what, WrestleMania Backlash in May? And it's like, you're, what? Like, you should be emphasizing the title, and you're emphasizing like, that's what I thought was really weird. Not so much, hey, Randy, paying homage to Randy. It's like, okay, we know Randy's out, but it's just like, just really, I don't know, weird. It was like, huh? So you had that. The next match was Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin. Basically, the title of the match, last laugh match or something like that. Madcap Moss wins. Baron Corbin, or Happy Corbin, is pretty much like dejected and everything. This is where, again, an example of how things were weird. They cut to the Street Profits. They're talking about Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss. Then they hype up the main event. Then they challenge the Usos for the tag team titles at Money in the Bank. And then from there, we go back to Baron Corbin, who interrupts the commentary team. And he starts talking about Pat McAfee, like, hey, you call me bum-ass Corbin, and all this. McAfee grabs the mic, and the whole audience is laughing at Corbin as he leaves, and that was a funny segment, but just the way the sequence that they've been doing, a lot of these segments have just been really just weird. Just like, wait a minute, why would you do that? And Not saying that another company is better. I will say other companies are more tolerable with their format and sequences as far as pro wrestling, but this was just really, really interesting. Then from there, we get the New Day coming out. They start laughing at Corbin. We cut to commercial. We come back. They have a classic moment. And out of all classic moments, on SmackDown, they show Edge and Hulk Hogan winning the world title or the tag team titles in 2002. And just for me, it's more the optics like of this. Like Hulk Hogan has the, you know, no fault of his own, the reputation that he has as far as, what's come out in 7 years ago with the sex tape and the racist rant and everything. So he has that, you could call it a stigma around him. It was evident at WrestleMania last year in Tampa, the boos that he received. So you play that, and then of course with everything with Vince McMahon, it was just like the optics. Like it was just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I always say, WWE is going to do what WWE wants, and this is clearly evident because it was, I remember when Edge and Hulk Hogan won the titles, and that was actually on July 4th, and it's like this is June 17th, and like why, out of all that, like that, just really interesting. And then they go to a recap of Ronda Rousey and Natalya. Then we go to an interview with Natalya, basically talking about she's going to send Ronda home, and the sharpshooter is more devastating than her finishing move. And then we come back to the New Day, and then we get Jinder Mahal's and Shanky's interest. And it's something that they do on both shows where they introduce someone, they go to commercial, they come back, they have a recap video, then an interview, then they come back. It's just really weird. This match, I mean, the highlight of the match was, of course, Shanky had most of the offense on Kofi Kingston early on, and then after a while, Xavier Woods starts playing the trumpet, and then Shanky just starts dancing, and Jinder's like, no, and he tags him in, and then Kofi Kingston hits the Trouble in Paradise, 1, 2, 3. New Day wins, and Shanky's still dancing with the trombone. So I mentioned this. I would put Shanky with the New Day. Big E's not going to be back for a while. It would be pretty cool to add him with New Day. Just the charisma that Kofi and Xavier have would actually be very entertaining with Shanky. If they do that, I don't know. Where the hell did these bugs come in? Sorry about that. I have my window right next to me, and it's little freaking bugs are flying in. But yeah, I would put Shanky with Kofi and Xavier. I mean, what worse can you do? He's with Jinder, and like they've been doing the same thing for like a month or so. So I mean, you had that. Then you had a post match, like I said, with Shanky dancing. Then the next thing they had was Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. This is another thing that was just, like I said, just very weird and just like, I can't even say like, oh my God, it's so stupid. Like it was just something just like, really? So Sheamus and Drew McIntyre are in the ring with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is like last week. We had a double count out for your match, your Money in the Bank qualifying match. And he announces Sheamus is going to be in the Money in the Bank. And then Drew McIntyre attacks Sheamus and he clotheslines him and does a Claymore kick. And then Adam Pearce is like, whoa, you forgot. Like, you didn't allow me to finish my sentence. You're also in the Money in the Bank. So they have a double count out the week before and to see who would qualify for the Money in the Bank. And they just add them into it. So it's like, what was the point of the double count out if you were going to add, like, I don't know. It's WWE's going to do WWE. Then we had the backstage segment with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, and Caleb Braxton's like, what's going to be the reception of you with the Bloodline because you pretty much the reason why Roman Reigns is in this match with Riddle. And then he walks off. Then we have Raquel Gonzalez versus Shayna Baszler. And the way they're utilized, like they're very, very, very underutilizing Shayna Baszler. I mean, it's not even like, oh my God, they should do this. They should, like, it's just a trope now. Like, and that's sad because Shayna Baszler was a massive machine in NXT. Like, she was on it. Like, she was a monster in NXT. And right now she's just you could say a jobber of some sorts where she's just getting people over. And it's unfortunate because you put her in any other women's division in another promotion. AEW, but more so Impact Wrestling. You put her in that division, that's pretty good. Like, she would be a great addition for the Knockouts women's division. And I don't know, it was just a really quick match. It's just weird, man. Out of all people, they use like Shayna Baszler. Like, I don't know, it's just weird. You had Lacey Evans on commentary during this match, which she's promoting. She's talking about how she works hard for what she gets, and she's going to put in the work, and, you have to be consistent with, like, this overly motivational speaking stuff. Like, it just didn't mesh or anything. Then you had, they announced Max Dupree and his Maxim models, and they have this big light shining in the ring, and they cut to the back, and Max Dupree is with Adam Pearce, and he's like, I'm very disappointed in you. You guys didn't do what I asked. And he uses the term, you're not going to, my models aren't going to be helping you with, or titillating juicy pleasure. Like, that was the word, and it was just like, what? And it, like, oh man, like, this was, oh man, like, the whole segment didn't make sense. Like, you shine a light, oh, I don't want this, and you announced last week that you were going to debut them, but then you delay it. Like, what? Then you have a backstage segment with Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser, and Ludwig Kaiser is basically saying, like, no one from America is going to hold the Intercontinental title except Gunther, because he's going to add value and prestige to the title, which I hope, out of all things, I actually did like this segment because I mentioned this last week. Like, I hope they keep that title on Gunther/Walter for a year. And it was funny because you heard loud Walter chants from the crowd during this segment. And then it was announced next week we're going to get Gunther and Ricochet in a rematch for the Intercontinental title. And it's like, I hope that Gunther does not win, or I hope Gunther wins, and I hope Ricochet does not defeat Gunther, where they start 50-50 booking and trading the titles, because there's no way Gunther should lose for at least a year with that Intercontinental title, because he has that presence and just that body of work. Like, man, you can put this guy in a long run. Like, they should book him the way they did Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, hell, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Like, he fits in that type of booking as far as pushing him and everything. Then we get Matt Riddle versus Roman Reigns. This was a solid match. It's kind of sucks because before everything that broke this week, like, a lot of people were anticipating, like, oh man, this is going to be really good. Like, there was a lot of anticipation for the Roman Reigns and Matt Riddle match, but in the last 48 hours, all that attention was focused on Vince and the corporate stuff and the story and all that. And me personally, that took a lot of attention and just intrigue away from Roman Reigns and Matt Riddle's match. The cool part for me was the balance of Roman Reigns' power and dominance versus Riddle's speed, and it was just a nice complementary match. I wish it was under different circumstances, considering everything that broke in the last 48 hours. Cool spot was the freaking, was it the attempted RKO by Matt Riddle on Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns flipped it into a spear. It's like, ooh, that was nasty. That was good. Then there was a point where Roman Reigns was did the Superman punch. Riddle kicked out to the 1-2-3. Then Riddle countered a spear by Roman Reigns into an RKO, which was crazy. But then eventually Roman Reigns got a spear, pinned him 1-2-3. Post-match, Usos and Bloodline, they're celebrating. Roman's like, Minneapolis, acknowledge me. He does that. Then Brock Lesnar music hits. Yes, Brock Lesnar comes. He shows up. He F5s Roman, he fakes like he's going to shake his hand, and he F5s Roman, F5s the Usos. And that's how the show ends. And then later on, like literally 5 minutes after SmackDown gets off the air, it's announced that we're getting Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Yes, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns for the 10,000th time at SummerSlam. And right away on social media, everyone's just like, oh my God, I'm tired of seeing this match again. Like, we've seen these guys wrestle so many times, just in the last year. And before the pandemic, we've seen them wrestle so many times before that. Like, what? Like, really? We have to see this again? And for me, like, I'm under the same boat. Like, come on, man. Like, can you move on to something else? Like, can't you like, this is Roman Reigns facing Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam is a reflection of WWE's creative. Granted, Cody's out, Randy Orton's out. There should be no reason, just because two guys are out, that you can't book a better matchup than going back to Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Like, it's ridiculous, man. I'm bored with it. Like, this is overkill. And I know there's, people say, well, Sting fought Ric Flair in WCW so many times, but it was spaced out and there was meaning to it. And by every time they fought, there was some significant match on the card than that match. Even Piper and Hogan didn't fight that much in WWF in the early 80s. Hogan and Savage didn't fight that much. Bret Hart and Owen Hart, and Bret Hart and Diesel, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, they didn't fight this much on TV or pay-per-views. Stone Cold and The Rock didn't fight this much on pay-per-views because it was, they had other players like Triple H and The Rock, like all these feuds that we've come to know in the past, 30, 40 years, like didn't, like, it's overkill now. And I'm sorry, this match just adds to the issues that a lot of fans have with WWE's creative, and it's just underwhelming now. It's not even an attraction anymore. Granted, they're probably going to sell it out. It's summer, it's Tennessee, the spectacle and everything. It is what it is. But for most fans, it's not something that they're really interested in. It's just like, you know what, I'm really not feeling this. And it's unfortunate, but it is the reality of what WWE is. I know there's a lot of wrestling media that are trying to find out if this was a reactionary move, considering everything that broke with Vince McMahon in the past 24, 48 hours. But initially, the reaction of seeing Brock Lesnar return, and then 5 minutes later, seeing the announcement that they're wrestling at SummerSlam, just added more to the whole, like, chaos and just displeasure that most wrestling fans have with WWE. And it's like, what the hell are you guys, like, what's going on here? That's why I always say in my reviews with WWE is going to do what WWE does. I am not tripping and like I have 8 other wrestling promotions I can watch instead of WWE. So they're going to do what they're going to do. But it is what it is. So this is my review for the June 17th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I always say, stop fighting over wrestling. There's so much wrestling going on, and especially this weekend because we got Triple Mania's, Triple Mania, Lucha Libre, AAA, Triple Mania this Saturday, and then you have Slammiversary on Sunday. So there's more side of the WWE and just everything that's chaotic about WWE right now. So check it out. And with that, I'm out.